Welcome to another edition of the Destinations Podcast. I'm your host, Doni Aldine, and we're taping today in the beautiful Ram Suite of the Elizabeth Hotel, which is an autograph collection hotel for Marriott's Signature Hotel Collection. We are excited to be here today because we are interviewing Kadija of Home and Sanctuary. She is a home stylist. Do you call yourself an interior designer?
I am.
An interior designer extraordinaire. But what is so special about what she does is the cultural aspect and the self-care aspect and how it touches not every part of you and make sure that you can sing from the inside. When we talk about living in full color, this is it. Kadija is all about it. So everything we do at Cultures is everything that she does for interior design. So without further ado, Kadija Taylor of Home and Sanctuary. Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, Doni.
How are you?
I'm good. It's so good to see you always.
Nice to see you. I love how you are just blending with our colors here so seamlessly.
Right? It's
I mean,
the designer in me.
And the glasses, the glasses.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. I'm not a glasses person, but I'm telling you, I'm coveting those.
Come on.
Later, we're going to look at the tablescape that you did.
Yes.
And the way that those sparkled and shined as you were moving through all the elements, all the flowers, all the greenery. I absolutely love it.
Thank you.
So is this kind of like, as I speak about that, is that kind of the essence of all of your work?
Yes, I would say in a sense, I think that's what designers do. Right? Yeah, I think.
I don't know. I think maybe that's what you do as a designer.
I'm here for it.
I mean, I work with a lot of designers, interior, graphic, all kinds of things, architectural. What are those? The ones who do the lawn? I can't think of the name
Landscape.
right now. Thank you, landscape. And not everybody's as inspired as others, right? For you, I feel like it really comes from the soul.
Most certainly.
So what was your journey to this?
So my background is real estate. I'm a licensed real estate broker. The other side of my business, I actually still do a bit of real estate and work with clients residentially. But prior to going into real estate full time, I did property management for over a decade and found my niche in affordable housing. And it was during that time period that I got to work on lots of renovation, rehabs, new builds, and I fell in love with design. And so in 2016, I took the leap of faith and went into real estate full time. And then in 2019, I opened up my own firm.
Well, I love that. So this season of the podcast, we're really focusing on entrepreneurs. So your story resonates with us very much. People who are cross-cultural, people who are multicultural, third culture kids, disproportionately are entrepreneurs. And so I love telling the stories of all the different ways people come to this. So this wasn't a blip on your radar at all. You weren't even thinking about it.
No, not necessarily. So actually, it's funny you bring this up. My sister reminded me about a month ago that I have been moving furniture around since I was probably 10.
Oh, really?
So this has always been something that's in me. I love space. I love making sure that people feel comfortable in space. And so I've always had an intuitive knowing about what home can be, but I wasn't doing it professionally. So it's exciting to be living out my creative self in this latter half of my career.
So it came full circle, really.
Most certainly.
It's interesting, too, because I think, this season we've talked to a number of people who their careers started in a different place. I started out pre-med in microbiology. We met someone who started out in a very similar way, but then transitioned into a space similar to mine, right? Yes. It's interesting when you go back, if you look at what is really inside of you, it's always there when we're young, right? And we have a number of conversations this season as well about identity, and we always talk about identity. But in your youth and in your gut, you always know who you are.
Yes.
Even though people might tell you otherwise.
Absolutely.
Tell you should be different, try to mold you into something different. It always comes back to what you knew when you were a child.
I love that you say that. And my business is built around part of that is part of the foundational principles of what we do. So how you create home is about being very honest and authentic about who you are and not trying to map over and trend and do what everyone else is doing. And that's actually what creates safe spaces.
I absolutely love it. Well, you and I had a whole conversation about home and what that means. So tell us some of the principles of home and sanctuary and what you base your design on.
Yeah, so I would consider myself a holistic interior designer, just meaning that we are dealing with the whole person. So body, mind, spirit. We understand that when you take design principles and combine that with holistic living, you create experiences that are authentic to yourself and that you become a better version of yourself when you're entering into the world. So instead of home being just the place where the functional things are happening. I sleep there, I may cook there, I shower there. You're saying, okay, how do I create experiences that are authentic to myself, that are enriching to my soul, that make me a better version of myself when I go out into the world? And you find that you end up not having to be like everyone else when you live that type of truth at home. So we just really believe that home is where the heart is. And to really find your voice, I have found that in design. I'm my most authentic self when I'm doing this work. And so I love to pass that on to my clients.
So it's interesting. So you I don't want to say you stumbled upon it, but you found this work and what it does for your soul. How was it when you were in real estate? Did you just enjoy it, but it didn't have the same resonance as this has for you?
No, well, they're really intertwined. Real estate and design, they're not, I would consider them siblings.
Okay.
And so my tagline is space is sacred, land is spiritual, home is your sanctuary. So even in real estate, I watch where my clients feel drawn to live, what side of town, the neighborhoods, what they enjoy doing. Like you were saying earlier, your soul is always telling you where it wants to be and what's best for you and who you want to be surrounded by. So design is an extension of real estate for me. So I love real estate. I always will. Brick and mortar, I love touching in. I love the construction side of design. And so, they're siblings to me. I don't think that they're not together. And I know a lot of people look at real estate as transactional, but for me, it's always been this beautiful experience and connecting with my clients. I'm not just trying to get you to buy a house. We're trying to make sure that you find home. You're buying property, but what are we going to do with this space? What are you going to do? You're creating memories there. This is going to be a segment of your life that you're not going to forget. And so when you're approaching your work through that lens, all of it is meaningful.
Wow. And coming home, you can have a piece that you can't have. Well, maybe you can have in the world, but often you don't have in the world.
No,
right,
not at all. And I think what you have offered for your audience is kind of like what we're doing at Home and Sanctuary, because no one is exactly the same. And what happens when you are this third culture kid or adult, or this cross culture kid or adult? What are you doing at home that is saying, this is all the different pieces of me. We're all this beautiful diversity of a lot of things. And so this idea that home should be this one way is actually what takes the soul and that spirit out of creating home, and kind of just feels like it's trending and everything feels blah and boring and not quite you. I always tell my clients, if I walk into your home and I don't know you live there, something's wrong. Yeah, I should be able to see you in your space.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. That's really good. I remember a long time ago when I was in pharmaceuticals, and pharmaceuticals is a very well-paying field. So everyone around you is on a pretty good playing field in terms of their income. And walking into people's homes with the white walls and the builder grade whatever, like everything just looked the same and they never took the time to change it, or a bachelor pad, the couch from college, I don't know. But it's interesting that you say that, because it was disarming to me in a way, I think because I couldn't feel the person.
Absolutely. And we're taught to be that way. We're trained to be that way. We're all raised to be that way, to fit this mold, to be this person, to follow this path, to be with these people, because all of that will result in something we feel is successful. And I put that on air quotes for a reason. But as you learn to lean into who you are, when you start doing your work, that deep work, and start discovering, this doesn't feel good to me, and going back to that childlike love for wanting to live and experience everything that this life has to offer, your exteriors start to be different. And so I always know who my client is, because they're ready to have these conversations and ready to dig in and ready to do really big transformational work that I know starts on the inside. And then the exterior is a representation of all those changes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I just saw the other day, I was looking at one of those remodel shows, and the woman, actually, as I look at our background here, the designer created something very similar to this, but in cyan color, and it was for the woman's home office, and so it was drastically different from what she had before. She had a plain white desk that faced the outside, double doors to her office, super high ceilings, and all the designer had done is really created a scape behind her desk that was cyan, and it went up through the ceiling, and it has, I don't know what these are called, moldings, just like the landscape behind you, or the feature behind you. It changed the entire feeling of the room. And when the woman walked in, she said, "This is absolutely perfect. You captured me. It's just the amount of risk that I could handle, but spoke to me perfectly. Like this, you captured the essence of me." And that makes me think that a lot of people can't do it on their own. Like she wanted to take a risk. She wanted her office to speak her language, but she wasn't able to do this. Is this something that you find a lot with your clients?
All the time. That's why we're hired. Part of the work that we're doing is pushing you outside of your comfort zone. You know that change needs to happen. But it's like, my comfort zone feels so good. It's uncomfortable, but it feels good. So designers come in to say, hey, listen, I just want to walk you through this idea that you can change something and it's not the end of the world. Like sometimes people feel like changing their space is like the world is coming to an end. Oh my God. Like, oh my God, the color on the wall. I love this color.
Yes.
Right? But there's clients that would be like, that's a little too much.
Really?
It's paint. It's paint. And it's these type of bold moves that you can do in your home that will translate to how you act when you go into the outside world.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it allows you to also make bold moves in your life.
Absolutely.
Wow.
It's reflecting itself right back at you.
Speaking of color, I've noticed, is this a trend right now? I've noticed this room that I was just telling you about, this office, and then our wall behind you. I've noticed a trend of all the same color for the entire room, and even the ceiling sometimes.
Absolutely. The fifth, we call that the fifth wall. Yes, it is trending, but I do not follow trends. It is trending. I do not follow trends. I love this trend that we, as Westerners, are embracing color, right? So boldly, this is something that internationally people do all the time, right? But to be here and to move away from, what we would consider neutrals and safe colors that are going to go with everything, and then we can just do a pop of color over here, and to be able to say, you know what, I love yellow. Let's go for it. Let's do it. So yes, it's trending, but it's so much more than that. Something I always talk to my clients about is color psychology. So what do colors do for you? What do they mean? What effects are they having on you? From psychologically and just physically, how does it make you feel? So I love color, and I use color as part of how we teach wellness. Yeah.
Wow. Well, tell me, so you've alluded to it already. You talk about Westerners, and we're now Westerners. Yes. However, tell us about your background.
Yes. So my father's side's family is West African, Sierra Leone. My grandmother's Liberian, so I like to say both. And then my mother's side, we are African American, not quite sure what that lineage is, but the West African side of me is undeniable. So my name, Kadija, and yeah, I love it. Something I have.
Bone structure.
The bone structure. Where my West
cheeks.
Africans at? So yeah, that's my background, and I lean into that. In my design process, I'm always looking to see what are people doing other places, especially where I'm from. What does color mean to them? What is pattern and texture? And, what is their thought process on home? And, sometimes when you start, that's why I love the work that you're doing. When you stop and take a look at like, who am I? And what are all the things that are happening unconsciously that are very much a part of who I want to be that I'm suppressing that would actually make you really happy. So I really, really encourage people to take a look at your heritage and see how you can bring that into your spaces.
Right. No, I love it. Well, and a lot of the spaces that you've done, I love that you look at people's heritage. Do you find a lot of your clients would not have done that, or do they ask for it?
Some ask. Some people come to you knowing, hey, I want to do this. I don't know how to do this. And then some people are not thinking about it at all because they're part of that larger bucket of what's trending. I want people to come into my home and be wowed. Oh my God, you have the latest and the greatest. And I'm just like,
no, because then that's out very quickly.
And that's why trends work, right? When you're talking about capitalism at its best, as far as design in the world is concerned, trends work because we know something new is going to happen, and there's people who always want to keep up on what's new versus like, would it look like if you did something that was custom? So you always kind of see the very wealthy, if you notice that, they may not be following trends. Like their aesthetic is their aesthetic. How many castles do you see change? You know what I mean? Like it's
Right.
So yeah.
Oh, that's such a good point. That
Yeah.
was a powerful point.
Yeah.
Wow. So bringing that culture into the design, bringing someone's heritage into the design, bringing their authentic self and their loves into the design, that is the core of what you do. That's the key to who you are.
Absolutely. And that's what creates sanctuary. Sanctuary is nothing more than creating something sacred. Sacred is where you feel free. Freedom lives in sacred spaces. And you want to invite people in to experience that who also make you feel free. And so that's why it's home and sanctuary. Yeah.
And I love freedom lives in sacred spaces. Ooh, that was a good one. Well, you know what? So you're starting a new home column with Cultures.
Yes.
So tell us about what we can expect.
So I definitely want to explore the conversation of bringing your full self into your home. I want to talk to people a little bit about color psychology and why you might be drawn to certain colors and ones that you may not be drawn to. I want to talk to people about just being bold and finding your voice in design. I most certainly have been able to do that and discover a bit more of who I am at my core, that if design wasn't happening, I probably wouldn't have decided to make those adjustments and make those changes. Biophilic design is so awesome. Biophilic design is about bringing the outdoors in. So creating grounding spaces from nature. So all my folks that love to be out in nature, how can you bring that in? Your green life and living more green, something that I desire to learn more about and discover more about as a designer. What else can you expect? Just really raw conversation. I'm an open book, and I'm honest, and I'm fun, and I'm not going to talk about design from the perspective of what's new. We're always going to be talking about almost like creating your bespoke life. Be you. Show up in your home and see. I've been saying this to my audience on Instagram. Who would you be if you lived well? Who would you be?
It would be me.
Exactly. You're doing it, right? You're totally doing it.
I'm like, should I pick somebody else?
But sometimes you need to ask yourself that. Like, is your space actually a reflection of who you are? And do you need to make the adjustments? And living well is about being authentic, you know? And so who would you be if you lived well? So you're going to get all that kind of fun stuff.
I absolutely love it. Well, thank you. Thank you for sitting down with me today.
Thank you for having me.
And one of the next things we're going to do is look at a tablescape that you did this time for a Trinidad and Tobago theme.
Yes, your hometown.
My hometown. One of them.
One of them, right?
Yes, one of them. So I'm excited to see what you've concocted. And in the meantime, again, thank you. And to all of you, I hope you enjoyed this. And I hope you look up Kadija. What is your website?
I am www.hosa.homes, and that's HOSA, and then homesplural.com. So HOSA is short for home and then sanctuary.
Home and sanctuary. Okay, hosahomes.com. Well, take a look. Think about who you are authentically and how that can translate into your space, because we definitely want you to live in full color. I am so excited to show you our new global bath and body packaging. It's just tremendous. And all of our products, as you know, help you feel good in your skin. So Cultures is all about making you feel like you belong, you feel like you're part, no longer in the in-between, and be your authentic self by feeling good in your skin. So that is the tagline for our global bath and body. But our new packages, oh my gosh, I wish you could smell this. This is our candle duo. So it's a soy candle set. Each of them burns for 80 hours. Oh, this smells amazing. I don't know if you can see this way back there, but the packaging is next level. And the scent, when you open it up, just pure heaven. So this one is our candle duo. And I'm going to show you our global travel set. So this one is Kenyan Orchid. When you open up the box, and you get inside and you see not only our scrub, but our souffle, our sugar scrub souffle. This one is in Kenyan Orchid. What else is in here? You start with the scrub. You start with the wash and wash your hands. That moisturizes them. Then you scrub it to exfoliate. Then you finish with the souffle to lock in the moisture. And then you have a lotion that you could carry with you wherever so you can moisturize on the go. Completely compact, great for your travels, all natural, and created just for you from us. So feel good in your skin and live in full color with Cultures.